This is the Easy Betting Show. My name is Easy, and I'm going to be talking about week one picks for the NFL tomorrow. This is not normally when I'm going to be doing this episode, so just kind of keep that in mind if you want to continue to follow me on. I just kind of been a crazy week, so I'm having to push everything back, and this is when I could get this one in. So it's probably going to be earlier in the week in the future, and it's definitely not going to be this early because I don't typically wake up this early, and it sucks. So, yeah, just look out for that in the future. I'm going to go through all of my picks for the 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock games for Sunday. I'm not going to do Sunday night football in this one just for, pace of the video. I'll do the Sunday night football game and Monday night football game in one show together, probably tomorrow morning before the games start. So keep an eye out for that as well. In this one, I'm going to be doing a few lines, spreads, money lines, things like that. Most of it's going to be player props. That's just how I bet the NFL. I'm very player prop heavy in the NFL. I just think there's more money that way, and it's just what I'm better at. So that's what I'm going to be talking about mainly. Um, I'm also going to be doing my touchdown bets and then a few parlays at the end of the video. So stick around for that because that's going to be a lot of fun. I've already hit 4,000 plus odd parlays so far this year that I was too dumb not to share with everyone. So, going to try to change that and put those at the end of the video. So, stick with me, like the video, watch through, hop in the chat if you're listening because it helps me not feel like I'm talking to myself the entire time, which is nice. But it also kind of gives me an idea of what y'all are on, which is always fun to see as well. So I'm just going to get right into it. I'm going to go through the how the games go in order for the most part. I know like half the slate's at 1 o'clock, so obviously there's not really an order for that. But the 1 o'clock games will be first, and then I'll go through. First one that I have is Tyreek Hill, longest reception over 29 and a half yards. I got that at minus 113. Pretty much every player prop I found was the odds were minus 113, which is really weird, but whatever. I also didn't odd shop a whole lot in this one. Like I said, I just was kind of running low on time. So it is possible that some of these odds are better somewhere else. So make sure you odd shop. You do have some time to do that. But like I said, Tyreek, longest reception over 29 and a half yards, minus 113. I have 1.2 units on it, as I will for most of these. This is just kind of a system play for me. Obviously, Tyreek Hill is ridiculously fast, so they're going to give him those deep balls. So I'll have a couple of chances to get it that way. But it's also entirely possible that he'll just break one on a short pass because of his speed and his ability to escape. So there's a few ways that he can get this, which obviously is what you want to look for in your plays. He's also going against the Jaguars, who are going to have to deal with the heat of that stadium. Miami built their stadium so where it just roasts the opposing team. And even though they're from Jacksonville and they're used to the heat, it's still going to be hot. And it's the first game of the season. So cramps and things like that are bound to happen, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So I just think that's really a system play for Tyreek. The second one that I'm going to do is Zach Moss over 46 and a half rushing yards, also minus 113, also 1.2 units on it. He's the new Joe Mixon for the Bengals. So I think he'll see a good number of touches. I know Chase Brown could steal some from him, and that's likely going to be kind of a duo backfield for the Bengals. But Zach Moss is still, at least as of right now, running back one. And he had a good season last year, so the Bengals should want to use him. And against the Patriots, they were fourth in rush defense last year, so they, were decent against the ground game. But with a lot of changes this year, new coaches, new players, new formations, new everything, they could have a slow start to the season especially against a team that's, fast paced like the Bengals are and have so many weapons on the offensive side of the ball. So I think 46 and a half is just too low, and I think he easily gets over the 50 mark, even if Chase Brown does manage to steal, 10, 15 carries, because they'll probably have 30 plus combined together. Next one that I have is Michael Pittman over 65.5 receiving yards, also minus 113, also 1.2 units. I also don't hate his receptions line at 5.5. He had 16 receptions in his first 2 games last year. He had, I believe, like 7 games with double-digit receptions last year. I mean, he's just a guy that's going to eat up targets. He has been his entire career when he's not hurt. Anthony Richardson loves throwing to him when he's not hurt. And with Josh Downs not playing in this game, Pittman's probably going to be even more crucial to the passing game. So I think he sees a lot of targets in this one, especially against a Texans team that's going to be scoring. So the Colts are going to have to keep up that pace and score with them. The next one that I have, a lot of people probably aren't going to like, but let me tell y'all why I like it. Daniel Jones over 212.5 passing yards, also minus 113, also 1.2 units. It just seems reachable to me. The Vikings were ranked 20th in pass defense last year. They also lost Danielle Hunter, so their pass rush isn't going to be nearly as good as it was last year, and it wasn't great last year, other than Hunter was good. And I don't think their secondary is going to be great either. So as a whole, a pass defense that was 20th last year is going to be even worse this year. And Daniel Jones has new weapons in Malik Neighbors. He's also got Wan'Dale Robinson that should be pretty good this year. I think 212 is, he's down there with the rookies in his pass number. I just don't think he's going to get under that. Devin Singletary is not going to win them the game by himself on the ground. He's going to have to throw the ball. So I think this is a very reachable number for Daniel Jones. And then the next one that I have is in the same game, Malik Neighbors over 64.5 receiving yards, also minus 113, also 1.2 units. If I think Daniel Jones is going to get over 212 passing yards, it's pretty obvious that Neighbors should clear 65 receiving yards. He's going to be Daniel Jones' favorite target. He's going to be the one that sees the ball the most, I would think, in this offense. And it's also his first game in the NFL, so he's going to want to try to get hot early and show, the Giants fans, hey, go buy my jersey because I get more money that way. So I think Neighbors is a really good play here. And I think even if Jones doesn't get 213 passing yards, which, again, I think he will, but if he doesn't, I still think Malik Neighbors can get this line. The next one that I have is another system play, and you're going to see this one a lot over the season. Alvin Kamara over 27.5 receiving yards, also minus 113, also 1.2 units. But as much as a system play as this is, and like I said, you will see it a lot, I like it even more in this game against the Panthers. As bad as the Panthers are, their defense is pretty good, especially their D-line. So Derek Carr, who is not a good quarterback, is going to use Kamara as a security blanket when that pass rush gets to him. And that's on top of the screen plays and the design short passes that Kamara gets in this offense anyway. He should easily clear 28 yards. And he should probably clear 28 yards in almost every game this year, but especially in this one, I really like it. The next one is Trey McBride over 50.5 receiving yards, also minus 113, also 1.2 units. And this one, I think McBride is probably the second option for Murray right now behind Marvin Harrison Jr. And even though Marvin is a rookie, he's still probably going to see the best of the defense just because of what he brings onto the field with him. So I think McBride's probably going to have a pretty big year. He had a good year last year. He kind of came onto the scene fairly quickly. I think he improves this year on the good year he had last year. And they also start with the Bills, who had over 800 yards, almost 800 yards, 2 tight ends last year. So I think it's going to be a pretty good fit for any tight end going up against the Bills defense, but especially McBride, who is a big option for the Cardinals. Next one that I have is another system play. Josh Allen over 30.5 rushing yards. He always runs the ball, especially in the red zone. I mean, he's a guy that is going to run like Lamar Jackson, and we saw what he did on Thursday. But he also loses Stephon Diggs this year. I know he picks up a couple other guys like Keon Coleman, who's probably going to be a big piece of this offense. But Stephon Diggs was his security blanket for the last, couple of years since he came over from Minnesota. So with him losing Diggs, it's entirely possible that if the play starts to break down, instead of just looking for Diggs like he did in the past, he could just look to run. So a guy that already ran the ball a lot, I think has even a higher ceiling of running it this year. 30.5 just seems way too low. Next one that I have is another one that people might not like as much, but I really like this play a lot, actually. Zamir White over 10.5 receiving yards, also minus 113, also 1.2 units. And it's kind of similar to the Kamara play. I think he's going to be a security blanket for Gardner Minshew when the play starts to break down. He's also probably going to get, a screen or two, some design short passes potentially. And I think he's going to be a guy that they look for in the passing game on top of being their lead rusher. I know Madison or Amir Abdullah could potentially come in and steal some of that, but as much as they've been hyping up White in the offseason, players and coaches, he's got to see a lot of snaps in this game. Otherwise, it just doesn't make any sense why they've been hyping him up so much in the offseason. So 10.5, to me, 10.5 receiving yards for any running back, that's RB1, other than maybe Derrick Henry, just seems crazy to me. Like, this is a passing league now, and the running backs are involved in the passing game. We saw it in the Thursday night and Friday night games, other than Derrick Henry, really. So there's no reason to think he can't get 11 yards. The next one is another one that a ton of people might not like, but I really like this guy. I really think he's going to have a good year. I have a ticket on him for Rookie of the Year. I am a lot higher on him than a lot of people are, and that is Bo Nix over 200.5 passing yards, also minus 113, also 1.2 units. And 200.5 just seems low. I know he's a rookie, and typically they do this to rookie quarterbacks, and it makes sense. It's his first ever game in the NFL. Things are going to come at him fast. But Sean Payton's going to know how to help him deal with that. And I think of all of the quarterbacks that are rookies this year in their first games tomorrow, Bo Nix probably has the best situation for game one with Sean Payton, with this offense, and going up against the Seahawks defense. They were ranked 21st in pass defense last year. They also don't have Pete Carroll anymore. So things are going to be different for the defensive side of the ball. I think it's just a good fit for Bo Nix in this first game. He also has a lot of pieces to throw to. He's got Javonte Williams with him in the backfield. He can also run the ball some. I think 200 is just too low. I also like Bo Nix over 19.5 rushing yards. That's my next play. Also minus 113, also 1.2 units. He rushed a lot in college. I mean, we all saw it, especially at Auburn, but also at Oregon. He is kind of Josh Allen-esque, just smaller, obviously. So I think if plays start to break down, kind of like I said with Josh Allen, but especially for Bo Nix, he's not going to want to make a mistake. This is his first game ever. If the play starts to break down, what's he going to do? Jack up and throw the ball, or is he going to take off and run? He's probably going to take off and run, especially in the red zone. So 20 yards seems very doable for him in his first game. The next one I have is CeeDee Lamb over 82.5 receiving yards, also minus 113, also 1.2 units on it. And this one is pretty simple to me. I don't think the Cowboys are going to be able to run the ball. I think their O-line probably struggles some, especially early in the season. I don't trust Zeke and Rico Dowdle to be incredible running backs that the team can rely on. They're going to have to throw it. And obviously, Dak loves throwing to CeeDee Lamb. Who wouldn't love throwing to CeeDee Lamb? He's the best player on the field. I think 82.5. I think he'll break 100 probably in this one against the Browns. So 82.5 is one of my favorite bets for CeeDee Lamb in the entire slate, really. The other one that I really like, Mike Evans over 67.5 receiving yards, also minus 113, also 1.2 units. And this is basically just Mike Evans is still good. He's been good for like a decade, maybe longer. He's going to get passes, especially deeper passes. And the Commanders' defense was ranked in passing last year. They're probably not going to be great this year, especially early in the season. Mike Evans is just honestly, I thought Mike Evans' receiving yards would probably be closer to CeeDee Lamb's and be up closer to 80. For whatever reason, books just always mark his kind of low. So 67.5 is just ridiculous in this game. So I definitely love that one. One of my favorites for this slate. Same game from an X play, Rachaad White over 57.5 rushing yards, minus 113 as well, 1.2 units. Again, same defense. They're going up against Washington. They were 27th in rush defense last year, last in pass defense last year. There's no reason to think the Buccaneers shouldn't just light them up and do pretty much whatever they want as long as the offensive line holds up. But the reason why I love Rachaad White specifically is he's capable of breaking long runs, but he's also been the bulk back for the Buccaneers the last couple of years. So we should get plenty of carries in this game, especially against this defense. And 57.5, once again, just seems too low against somebody like Rachaad. Those are all the player props that I have in this one. I am going to do a few line bets. Like I said earlier, if you weren't in the show yet, I'm not really a lines guy when it comes to the NFL. I'm more of a player props guy, so I'm going to have way more player props than I'm going to have lines. But there are a few lines that I like, so I'll always throw those in there too, of course. The first one that I like is Giants money line, plus 112, so I'm going to throw a unit on that. I talked a lot about the Giants already with Daniel Jones and Malik Neighbors. I just don't think the Vikings are going to be good this year. Obviously, Sam Darnold is their quarterback now. I don't trust Sam Darnold. Half the NFL doesn't trust Sam Darnold, and that's why he's on the Vikings now. I think the defense is going to take a big step back, and I think this is a game that the Giants have a very good chance of winning. The next one that I have is another one I've already talked about. Buccaneers minus 3.5, minus 105, 1.1 units on that one. And it's pretty much the reasons why I like Evans and Rachaad White on the player props. The Commanders' defense sucks. They have a rookie quarterback in Jayden Daniels. Now, I don't know what to expect really with Jayden Daniels. He's probably going to try to run a lot. He does have an arm, but we've seen what happens with rookie quarterbacks that are run friendly, I'll say. So Jayden Daniels is just a massive question mark. And with the defense being bad, I think the Buccaneers win by at least a touchdown here. And then the last play that I have, that's not touchdowns, and then I'll go into touchdowns next, is a two-leg parlay. The odds for it are plus 114, so I'm going to put a unit on that as well. And it's Broncos plus 10.5 and Saints money line. So two games that I've already talked about. I think Bo Nix is better than a lot of people think he is, and the Seahawks defense I think is not going to be very good. I think they definitely cover 10.5. And Saints money line, you're basically just fading the Panthers. But I also think Kamara has a big game, and they get the win there. All right, my touchdowns that I have for today, pretty much everyone that I have for anytime touchdowns are guys that I've already talked about. So I'm not going to go too much into depth on why I like them because I already have. And if you missed it, just go back and watch it. It'll only take a couple minutes. What are you doing anyway? It's Saturday. The first one I have is Tyreek Hill, minus 115, 1.2 units on that. Obviously, Tyreek Hill has a great chance of getting in the end zone. It's just kind of common sense. Zach Moss, plus 140, 1 unit. Like I said earlier, he's the new Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon scored a ton for the Bengals offense, especially when they get inside the 5. Zach Moss is a bigger Joe Mixon, maybe. They might be about the same size. I don't know. I think Zach Moss is probably a little bit bigger. So great chance that he gets in the end zone. Michael Pittman, plus 165, 1 unit. I've already talked about him a lot. I think he has a great chance of scoring here as long as Anthony Richardson doesn't, steal all the touchdowns from him. Malik Neighbors, plus 150, unit on that as well. I've already talked about Malik Neighbors. I've already talked about Daniel Jones. I think that's a great option for him to score there. I do like his yards more than his touch anytime. So if you're not playing all of these, which this is a lot of bets, so if you're not playing all of them, just pick your favorites. But I do like his yards a little bit more than his touchdown, but I like his touchdown a lot as well. Alvin Kamara, plus 125, 1 unit on that. And he's in the rushing game and the passing game. I wouldn't be surprised if he scores a receiving and a rushing touchdown in this game. I also like him for 2+ touchdowns at plus 950. I'm putting half a unit on that as well. Josh Allen, minus 125, 1.3 units. Like I said, he loves to run, and he really loves to run in the red zone, especially early on in the season. He likes to have those rushing touchdowns, padding his stats. So great, great option there. Javonte Williams, plus 210. I got half a unit on this one. The odds seem way too high here. I mean, I thought he was going to be minus money, and he's plus 210. This just seems nuts to me. I don't know if it's because everyone thinks the Seahawks are just going to blow out the Broncos, or if I'm just missing something here, but he's got a good chance of scoring. I don't understand why his odds are like this. So definitely taking that. And then the last one, you can probably guess what the last one is. Mike Evans, plus 110, 1 unit. I'm amazed that we're still getting plus odds for him. It's just nuts to me. It seems disrespectful. And I'm also betting him 2+ touchdowns at plus 700, putting half a unit on that too. I think he's got a great chance of going 2 touchdowns. Either him or Rachaad White will have 2 touchdowns in this game. So maybe just throw half a unit on both. But one of them scoring 2 touchdowns, and I think it's a great chance for Evans to have 2. Touchdown parlay. I got a touchdown parlay, a 2 touchdown parlay, and then a parlay of the day. I'm going to go through all 3 of those real quick, and then we're going to get out of here and we're going to watch college football. So, touchdown parlay: Mike Evans, Alvin Kamara, Zach Moss, Tyreek Hill. Pretty simple. The odds are plus 2020, and I'm going to put half a unit on that. 4 guys, plus 2,000 odds. Seems simple enough. 2 touchdown parlay: Mike Evans, Zach Moss, Alvin Kamara. 3 guys that could easily score 2 touchdowns, in my opinion. I'm betting 2 of the 3 of them straight up. I'm not going to bet straight up on Zach Moss 2+ touchdowns because I feel like it is a little cute. But in this parlay, I think it's great odds. Those 3 guys are plus 88,000. So I'm going to put a 1/10 of a unit on that and just hope that these guys can score twice, because that makes the whole day right there. And then my parlay of the day, which is my last bet for this slate, excluding the Sunday night football game. Make sure to watch the video tomorrow. Michael Pittman, 50+ receiving yards. Zach Moss, over 46.5 rushing yards. Malik Neighbors, 50+ receiving yards. Alvin Kamara, 25+ receiving yards. Mike Evans, 60+ receiving yards. The odds are at plus 1,000. I'm going to put half a unit on that one as well. That does it for me for this one. Like I said, make sure to check out the Sunday night and Monday night football, which I will do tomorrow morning before the games start. Hit the like button on this video for me. I'd appreciate it. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Really helps me out. Tell your friends to subscribe if they're not subscribed. Anybody you can. I need the subscribers. But yeah, appreciate y'all hanging out with me. See y'all in the next one.